Welcome to the Football Historian Podcast.
By all means, enjoy it.
He will go right to the very top.
Dos, tres, cuatro times.
Here we go, Germans.
I will turn these results round.
All right, that's good manners.
There's animosity, but there's no fight.
You can't beat them, join them.
You make me feel sick if I look at you.
No, I want to fight here.
Don't drink, don't sleep with women, don't drive fast cars.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit too!
Hello, welcome to the Football Historian Podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by Karen Elizabeth Gill. Give you your full name. I've started a new first question. I apologise if it's rude, but I've asked it every question for a row. It's who are you and why are you here?
Okay, so my name's Karen Gill and I'm Bill Shankly's granddaughter, the first grandchild. So I was born in 1965, which was a good year for many other reasons. And yeah, Bill Shankly was my grandfather, and I'm here because you asked me to be here.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, well, obviously Bill Shankly, I'm sure you're not surprised. I'll be asking a few questions about him today. Just start with him. What's your favourite non-footballing memory of your granddad?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Easy question.
Non-football. So basically, I mean, he used to take us to this little place called, I think it was called Capaldi's Ice Cream Parlour. I think it's disappeared now, but he used to take us there for ice cream. That was one of my favourite memories. Or he'd tell us a story before we went to bed at night when we stayed at his. So
yeah, would he be doing voices?
Not really. Wasn't really he didn't get into much character, but he would try to frighten us a little bit with some of his stories, because like he did go down the mines when he was little, so he'd tell us a lot about, he was 16 when he went down the mine, so he'd tell us little stories about how he nearly got his thumb chopped off by a mine and like coal truck and things like that. Yeah, which when you're little, you kind of like those stories. So
no, well, yeah, I'm sure as you said, we were saying just then how big of a character he is in, not just, I wouldn't even just say football, just in the world, definitely in Liverpool, the city as well. So you must get asked it a million times, but what is like the most common question you get asked? Is it just what's he like, or what
was it like to be, his grandchild? What was he like as a person? I think though it's kind of easy to answer because he was so single-minded, and so whatever you saw about, like, he was so obsessed with football that was obvious to everyone. There was nothing much else beyond that. There wasn't any other interests or hobbies, or it was pure football all the way. Yeah. So that's quite an easy one to answer.
Yeah, well, I was saying that I do like an Instagram account where I share like videos, and he's like obviously one of the most popular ones. But what always struck me with him is when, like, because I do like write the captions on it, whatever, what he says isn't always like the most amazing thing. It's the way he said stuff,
exactly.
which is just like surprised me. So like, is that something you recognise in that? Because how he gets a message across.
I know. Sometimes I'm like, what is he going on about there? Like, what did he really want to say? But it seems to impact people, because I think he's whatever he said it from the heart, and it was very passionate. And so I think that's more about the impact he has rather than the actual words that he used.
Yeah. And then maybe we just described to someone who doesn't know who Bill Shankly is, which I would be surprised if they've clicked on it, but how would you describe Bill Shankly to someone, just as a character himself?
I'd say like he was the beating heart really of a football club that he kind of had a vision for, and he was so single-minded and so determined to make something of the club that he kind of brought a club out of kind of obscurity really into kind of being something today, a club today that is perhaps one of the most famous football clubs in the world, and kind of started with him. And I know he wasn't there from 1892. Yeah. But because Liverpool Football Club is special, there is something special about it. I think it all started from there, from that era, and from him and the people he had around him.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Well, it's like commonly thought of that Liverpool begins in 1959, but I think that's obviously credit to him, the work he had to do, but obviously it's also ignoring what was there before him. But, for him to come and do that to Liverpool, do you reckon if he'd have gone to a different city, say if it was Man United, say if it was Everton, do you reckon they'd be a team now that, well, obviously Man United are already big, but say another club around the country, would they be as big as Liverpool are now, or?
I know. I think it was a little, what's the word? A bit of alchemy. It was the right ingredients at the right time. And I think a lot of it had to do with the people of Liverpool and the supporters of Liverpool. So no, I think it was definitely the Liverpool thing was important. That was the important ingredient that he needed, because he'd been like managers in quite a few other clubs before, and he'd always had the same tactics and the same, he always like I found out recently something I didn't know, that he used to have like a megaphone. I think it was when he was manager of Grimsby or something, and he would go out on the pitch at half time and talk to all the supporters through the megaphone. So he was like a bit of a character, but he just needed the right ingredients, and I think Liverpool 1959 was the right ingredients, the right time. And I don't think it would have happened. It was unique. It wouldn't have happened anywhere else, I don't think.
And then obviously you say an item there that you saw with a megaphone. And I think another thing he famously had was his typewriter.
Yeah.
So maybe just to explain to people how important that was to him and to you, I expect as well.
Well, so we used to get he'd take us to the ground. So he never thought really about, he never took my nan to the match or anything. My nan didn't really like football. She hated it, really. And he never thought of taking us to a football match, but he would take us to the ground. And I always remember his little office was full of bags of people's letters that they'd sent him. And so rather than get like his secretary or whatever to write a response, he would take them home, and then in his like free time he'd sit and respond personally to them. So he was very heavy-handed man. So he's broke so many handbrakes on cars. It's unbelievable. He literally would pull them off. So on the typewriter, it was banging away on it was really like loud, and you could hear him. And he'd swear quite a lot because he'd make mistakes and things, but he would diligently sit and write to people. And I've had so many letters off people telling me, oh, I've got, your granddad wrote me a letter and it was amazing, and I've kept it framed, and it was like inspirational. And
yeah, well, we've had George Scott on, who I'm sure you'll have heard of, and he brought it in and showed off to us the letter he had there. And we had a question. He was with Gordon Wallace as well. It was the best piece of memorabilia, and obviously he won trophies in South Africa and all that, but he said his best item from his football career is that letter off your granddad. So the what he did for people, I think, as he said there, so many people would have told you. My dad's mum wrote to him, and my dad got tickets to the cup finals because of him and stuff like that. And I think in the back of one of the books he thanks her, and it was when he had all the addresses of everyone, and he thanked, and that was there. So I know even just personal history stuff, it's mad how many people he's affected with that.
Really, he would turn up to people's funerals and he didn't know them. Like supporters would say, oh, such and such has died, and he would actually. He didn't, they'd mentioned it to him, oh, this big red's died or whatever, and he would find out where the funeral was and then just turn up and stand at the back, and then people would be going over to him, with the little funeral, the eulogy, little booklets for him to autograph and that. But obviously he'd kind of be more respectful, but he'd still, outside, he would still sign them. Yeah. He'd go and like one of my favourite stories, he actually turned up to baptise excuse me, a baby for somebody he didn't know. He was going to call the baby William after my granddad, and my granddad got the times mixed up, got there an hour earlier, but actually waited at the church for another hour for them all to turn up and baptise this baby who we didn't even know. Yeah. So we do that kind of thing, which is that's a special thing.
Well, and just going off. Just because we were talking about it before, as you said, the books I've written, I did on two people, Billy Liddell and Tommy Lawrence, and both great for the book and terrible for the book, is that no one has a bad word to say about them. Do you have to say with your granddad, is there any bad stories that you can or would want to share, or is everything just rosy?
He was very bad stories. He was very impatient. He wasn't a very patient man, and he was very he was a hard grandfather. He wasn't like he wouldn't play and sit and play with you and let you, like I have my other granddad, he'd let me plait his hair and put ribbons in his hair, but there was none of that with my granddad. And if I fell over and got injured, he just didn't want to know. He was like, keep away. So he was a hard man, I think, but he was a fair man, and he was very truthful and honest man. So yeah, there's not really much you can say. He was also very generous man. He would give money to people to buy tickets or to get tickets home from a match. Or in Rome, I've heard so many stories of him giving like money to people who couldn't get like a flight home and stuff. So
yeah, it's amazing. And obviously I want to talk as well about Spirit of Shankly today. That's how his name carries on at Liverpool. Obviously, I think they had they've had a few hard words in the past with people saying they do or they don't represent the club. Obviously, it's out of yours and the family's hands what they do and stand for. Personally, I think what they do is very good.
I'm the patron of the Spiritual
I
Saints.
was just going to say,
but I also see what they do close up and how much time and effort they put into, and the amount of their own free time they completely volunteer to work on the behalf of other people. And if other people don't agree with that or like it, well, that's fair enough. But you can't criticise if you don't know, and if you don't do anything yourself, then how can you criticise people who are actually doing something? So,
and for that name to carry on in that way, did they like approach the family before they have that idea? Or was that all a big thing to have you all on board?
Well, I think I got a phone call from Nicky Holt, and he was like, "We're thinking of doing this like supporters union. We want to call it Sons of Shankly." And I was like, "Sons? What about all the daughters and granddaughters and sisters?" And I was like, not sure if I'm comfortable with the sons. And then they come up with the Spirit of Shankly, and I said, "Oh yeah, that's a brilliant name." And I'll be behind that, and the rest of the family.
Yeah, and there's a lot of because he is so big, and because everything attached with Liverpool is almost like what would Shankly think? What would Shankly do? Has there been times where like his name has been used in the wrong way? You think is there examples where like his legacy hasn't been continued in the way that you think would be approved of, or is not?
I can't think of anything, to be honest, because and I think a lot of that has to do with Spirit of Shankly as well, because like I see them as a kind of little lighthouse of his values and that kind of era, which is really kind of almost completely on its way out. They're still there to hold the club accountable for something that the kind of values that my granddad's era and those men of those era and women of those era held. So I think I can't think of any ways that his legacy's been misrepresented or
Well, that's good. Obviously, that says that how the impact he had on the club as a whole. And is your granddad? What's the best opportunity you've had because of Bill Shankly? What's like the best opportunity or position you've been put in because of that?
Oh, well, that's easy. So basically, I lived in Greece for 33 years, and obviously, I wanted to come back to Liverpool, but I had a family who didn't really want to come and live here, so I had to kind of stay, wait for my kids to grow up, and it was a little bit lonely over there. But when I got involved with, when I wrote my book about the Real Bill Shankly, I started to have contact with so many supporters, and then I kind of started to feel like I had my own little family of people, and I met so many amazing supporters who've now become like lifelong friends. So that for me is that's what being his granddaughter's meant to me, and it's the reason why I came back to Liverpool to live, and now I feel like I've come full circle, but it feels right because I live in Anfield as well, so when I go to work I pass by his statue and the Shankly gates every day, and so it's kind of nice. It feels like he's back in my life somehow.
Yeah, that's great. And then he was obviously so important to Liverpool. He left the club. How do you think the club dealt with your granddad after he left Liverpool?
Not very well, I don't think. I think possibly in my granddad was quite very good friends with Matt Busby. I think possibly in his mind he had a little bit of a thing of maybe later they would ask him to be on the board or in some way involved, and I don't think they did. Possibly that's because he was such a big character. Maybe they couldn't imagine what role he could take on there, but I know that it really did upset him. I think in his autobiography, I think that comes across that there was a bitterness there. And obviously all the things they did after that they did right. I think after a certain period they did start to do things right, but when he left I think they did a lot of things wrong.
Yeah, because there's a lot of Everton fans who I think make it clear that he was made more welcome at Goodison.
I think that's actually true. I think he did. He actually had a season ticket. He had a season ticket for Everton, and I know that he did go quite a lot. But he always had a good relationship with Everton anyway. I mean, I know there was his little comments and his little, if Everton were playing, I'd draw the curtains and all that. But he used to, their training ground was right round the corner from where he lived. So he'd often walk round and get a massage from the club doctor, or he'd go and kick around, play a bit of footy. So he did have a close relationship.
Yeah.
And I know that, you know, a lot of people might not like that now, but it's true.
Yeah, well, of course,
yeah.
that is true. It's true. The other thing I want to ask about was he went to training quite a lot, and it was asked for him. I don't know quite how it happened, but he was no longer wanted at training because people are calling him boss and gaffer, whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you think about that? And maybe more relationship with Bob Paisley. Do you reckon he had anything to do with that? And did he have a relationship with him away from football?
Yeah. Oh God, him and Bob were very like. I don't think my granddad had lots of friends, but he was always talking to Matt Busby, and he was always on the phone to Bob. They did have a friendship, like a proper friendship. I think he was such a very different character from Bob. Bob was completely different, and I think if my granddad was turning up to train at Melwood, I can kind of see why he would take over, and it wasn't making Bob's a job very easy. So I do get that, I understand that, but it must have been such a painful thing to be told not to go back. That must have really hurt.
As you say, a club that he's built up to
exactly
then be pushed away from.
Yeah.
But one place he wasn't pushed away from is where the Bill Shankly playing fields are now.
Yeah.
So for anyone aware that was literally right outside his house, and it's now called the Bill Shankly playing field. So how important do you reckon that was as well, just for him to be in touch with fans and the community itself there?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was part of his life. So every Sunday, he would play football with the lads, the local lads. I mean, he was quite funny as well. I mean, I have heard a few stories of people would sometimes dread him phoning them to arrange a game, because he would play the game until his side won. So it sometimes go on for hours, and so people would be like, oh, I'm dreading him. If he calls, I'm not in, because they just didn't want to play for 2 or 3 hours until. So he was even when he was playing like a little five-a-side, he still wanted to win. But he'd arrange little matches with all the local lads, and we had so many young supporters come to the house and come in for cups of tea, and I think it's quite kind of famous. It's not a myth, it's a reality. He did invite people in, supporters in. He'd sit them down, me nan would make them biscuits and tea, and he'd just chat to them about football. I know so many people who've been in the house.
That's bad. As you say, do you think how big managers and footballers are now to be that approachable? Obviously, it's different society, different game, whatever, but still for him to do that shows why he's so well revered. Just a couple more questions on him before we'll have a quick break. But I just wanted to ask, you've already mentioned it, the statue, the gates and stuff, and how he's been remembered better after he passed away and stuff. But how important is it for you, as you say there, you walk to work? What does it make you feel when you see like how well loved he is by the club today?
It's just I can't really explain it. It's like a little warm feeling inside every single day. It's just nice because you see people from all over the world like laying flowers on at the base of the statue, or that statue must be one of the most photographed statues in Liverpool, I mean, or places, because there's always somebody every single day. I see people just getting their photograph, little kids doing the same position, with the hands raised, and it's lovely. It makes me feel proud.
Yeah, and then one last thing is Jurgen Klopp, by many he's revered as the modern day Bill Shankly. Do you think that's fair, and are there similarities between the two?
Yeah, I think I mean, I haven't actually met Jurgen Klopp, but I've obviously seen lots of interviews with him, and he has got he has got a kind of similar style about him, if you like, and obviously the way the supporters relate to him, I think I see that more as a similarity. Obviously, my granddad was the manager for 15 years, so that was double the amount of time. So I think, to be fair to anyone to compare it, he'd have to be the manager for the same length of time. Yeah. Although, I mean, I know that football nowadays is completely different, but it's still a long time I think I've read today about 758 matches or something. He was manager for so many matches. So that's a long time to be a manager and be consistent. Well, I know that he had dry periods, obviously, but then to bring back a new team and make them even better, yeah, that's some legacy.
Yeah, of course. Well, if Jurgen Klopp isn't, will there ever be another Bill Shankly?
I'm sure there will. I hope there will. That would be. But he was unique. So if unique, that's what it means. There's just one. So possibly not.
All right, that's great. Well, we'll have a quick break. I want to talk more about yourself, but we'll see you in a sec. Welcome back to the next section of the Football Historian podcast.
Sorry, Pete. I'm really sorry to interrupt you. Where'd you get that shirt from?
Oh, this Latium number's just from Classic Football Shirts. Where'd you get yours from?
Thank you. Mine's from Classic Football Shirts as well.
Wow. Well, when I bought my shirt, I used the code TFH10 to get 10% off all orders. Did you use the same?
I did. I used a discount code. I think it was the same as yours.
Oh, TFH10. Oh, that's great, because if you want to get 10% off all your orders, you can use TFH10 at classicfootballshirts.com.
Unbelievable deal.
Welcome back to the next section. Thank you for not running away in the break. A bit more about you this time. You're not just the granddaughter of Bill Shankly. You are your own person. You're an author, as you mentioned before, that wrote a book about your granddad. But how was that to do that whole experience, writing your book? How did you find that?
That was amazing, because the way it all started as well was because my grandmother, Nessie Shankly, she died in 2002, and I was in Greece, so I came home for the funeral, and there was a big wreath of flowers from a Greek supporters club. So I just jotted down the number, that was because they had like a little card. And when I got back to Greece, I gave them a call, and they were so over. They couldn't believe it. And so they had this little office in the centre of Athens. They invited me along. They did a big cake with my granddad's face on it. The walls were full of photographs of him, books about him. And they were like young people as well as older people. And they were so knowledgeable about him. And I think one of them said, why don't you just write a book about your granddad, about like the man sort of thing? So I just pitched a little idea to, I think it was Trinity Media at the time, that's what they were called. Yeah. And it was Ken Rogers who was at the Echo. And he went, oh, that's a brilliant idea. Just start writing, send me a little, draft and that. So I did. It was, and so they helped me at the Liverpool Echo. So they put something in the Echo to get people's stories, and they provided so many amazing pictures, photographs that had never been really seen before. I had some photographs, family photographs, but just reading all the stories was just amazing. It was one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah, and then if you just try and explain it to somebody who would want to buy it and read it, is it your personal stories, or was it just a story about him? How would you describe it? So
it's a bit of a combination of effort. So basically there's the personal side. It's my memories of him from, so I was about 17, nearly 17 when he died, but I kind of grew up with him. Sometimes stayed at their house because my mum and dad got divorced, so I'd often stay with my nan and granddad. So I had lots of memories growing up. So it was my story, and then at the sides on the pages going down is all the Echo stories that for each year that he was manager. And so that was nice because it's like a bit of a combination of his actual professional career at Liverpool and combined with his actual private memories.
Yeah, that's great. And just that feeling of looking at the book the first time and stuff like that. What was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. It was just so nicely produced as well. The pictures were amazing, and everything just came together so easily. It just felt right. It was so easy, which people go, it's not really, because you've got to proofread and read again. But everything fell into place. It just felt really nice. It was great.
Yeah. And I'm sure, like as you said before, the full circle type thing, it must have felt nice to just almost end the story type thing and sum up what he meant to everyone and to you, more importantly. Yeah.
It was lovely.
Yeah.
And there's a nice picture of the Greek supporters in my nan's house. So they made a pilgrimage to the house after my granddad had died, obviously, in the late 90s. And my nan wasn't very well, but she did invite them in. She didn't know who they were. She was probably scared stiff, to be fair, because there's about 4 or 5 of these big Greek. But she did. She invited them in. She even took them upstairs to see all his little trophies and medals, and because they had photographs and they were showing me, and those pictures are actually in the book as well.
Yeah, and then I was going to ask as well. So, from his stuff and memorabilia, is that what's like the most prized possession you've got of your granddad, do you think?
Oh,
Or is it?
yeah, that's
Story? Or maybe
yeah.
the story that you wrote about him, is that probably the best thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's basically memories. There's not a particular thing. I do sometimes, like, the house is still obviously where it would have been nice, I think, if there'd been some kind of plaque but I sometimes walk past the house because I've got a lot of memories of that house. And the last time I was walking past, the people who lived there very kindly invited me in, so it was like going back into the house, and the smell of the house and the memories from the house was just amazing.
Yeah, and then yourself. So what was life like for you? Obviously, as you say, your granddad passed away 17 there. What did you do after that? What did you do with your life after?
Well, so I went to university and then decided suddenly on a whim to go and to go and teach English abroad. So it was Thatcher's Britain. It was the 80s, so Liverpool was kind of a difficult place to find a job, or there was that managed decline that Thatcher was trying to orchestrate in Liverpool. It was something. It made it like a bit of a. It wasn't a great place to be in the late 80s. So when I just got offered a job in Greece, and I was only going to go for a year, and then 33 years later, I was still there.
And do you think maybe obviously he moved away from his home and followed his career, do you reckon some of that maybe rubbed off on you, and that made it easier for you to make that decision? Or did you feel, because he was so important to the city, it was a bit of a wrench to leave?
I didn't really realise, because obviously for me he was my granddad, and it was in some ways just my granddad, even though I realised what a massive impact he had on people around him and Liverpool Football Club. But I don't think I really understood how much of an impact and how much of a big character he was until I moved away. And then just to hear, I think I was an English teacher, and I was teaching a lesson one day, and in the book there was actually a little passage about my granddad in one of the books I was teaching from, and it was weird. It did make it feel a little bit more like wherever I was, it didn't really matter, because his name was still there and people were still talking about him.
Yeah, and then. Just go back onto the Spirit of Shankly. I saw you did a speech on St George's Hall on the steps there. How was that? Do you feel like
that was absolutely terrifying? I was terrified. I'd never really spoken in public before, so that was really terrifying. But everybody was so lovely. It was just such an amazing day, and obviously that was such an important thing to do. I think that was kind of whatever people say, they were active in getting rid of Hicks and Gillette. Yeah, they were.
So just to explain to people what that was, obviously it's new owners at Liverpool who didn't necessarily do the best job. No. I think it's the nicest way to put it. And you're on the steps of St George's Hall where your granddad famously spoke, and I was listening to it before you came, and he was saying how like he did that after Liverpool lost the cup final, then you're doing it when Liverpool are in a bad position as well. So did you feel like this is a bit weird because this is what he did? And obviously you had the crowd shouting Shankly at you.
I was very emotional, so I was just a bit teary, to be honest, by the end of it, and I was shaking. It was very windy, and the words were on the paper were just flying away. But it was nice because I could see people really, really connected to what I was saying, and it felt really nice to be involved in something so important.
Yeah, and then do you think you've got some of your speaking skills in front of audiences from him, or maybe not?
No, I don't think so. Definitely not.
Can't command the room as well as he did, yeah. And I want to ask you, you're our first female guest we've had as well.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I wanted to just talk to you about women in football as well. Like, do you think, obviously, because you're granddad, I'm sure people listen to you a lot more, but at the same time, being a woman, do you feel like sometimes your opinions aren't as listened to in football, or your side of it, or what do you feel?
I think that's possibly generally true in life anyway. I mean, I lived in Greece for 33 years, and things are a little bit different there. I mean, they are a little bit more sort of, there's an Oriental Eastern type of, where it's still a little bit wife at home looking after the kids and that kind of thing. And I think, so I'm kind of used to it. It jars quite a lot for me. But I see here in the UK, I think things are a little bit more. There is a bit more equality. I see the women's team playing so well, and the English team, the team as well. They seem to, it seems to be a little bit more. There's a bit more equality. It takes time. These things definitely take time, but I think no, it seems to be on the right path. It's not 100%, but it's going in the right direction.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's important. As you say, it's definitely growing the game as football as well. And just what you do now with Shankly, I've seen there's the Shankly Cup and there's a play in that. I saw you've been promoting as well. So like, what different ways can his legacy be carried on, do you think? And I'll maybe explain what the Shankly Cup and the play is.
Yeah, so that is one thing I'm involved with, which has been set up by Spirit of Shankly, and in particular Stephen Monaghan, who's instrumental in setting that up. So basically it's a tournament once a year. It's the Shankly tournament where few teams of Liverpool schoolboys go up to where my granddad, the area where he lived, so around Glenbuck, Ayrshire, Cumnock, around that area, and they play the teams there. And so it's a full day experience, and they all win cups and medals at the end. And it's just and they take the little Liverpool boys, they take them to Glenbuck. And so for me, the first time we did it, not last year, the year before, there were all these young lads from footy lads, on the coach, and they all got off in Glenbuck, and they were running around where my granddad grew up in the Heritage Village. Now there's a Heritage Village, and I was so moved because I thought, all these years later, after he's passed away, these young lads, they were so impressed. They were like, oh my God, this is where Bill Shankly grew up, and the house, look how small it is, and there were 12 people living in there, and they were it was just so lovely to see. And I thought, if my granddad could see that, how amazing that is, he'd be made up.
Yeah, and then the play as well, what's that that's going
right
on now,
so that's something I was really excited to hear about. So that's going to be at the Royal Court. It's called Red or Dead. It's based on the David Peace novel, but loosely based on that, because some people might not like the idea of it. If you've ever read, I don't know if you ever got through the book.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a Marmite book. Some people hated it, other people loved it.
Yeah.
It took me a few goes, but when I finally understood the concept behind it, I really thought it was I thought it was really good. But it was a hard book to read. But it's loosely based on that. There'll be community involvement as well, so almost like a chorus of people kind of singing on stage, which the Royal Court production team are hoping will be local people, representative of the locals, on stage. And it's Peter Mullen is the one who's it's Peter Mullen. Yeah, he's going to be he is an amazing actor. Actually, I didn't know him before, I'm going to be honest, but I did take the time to read up on him and watch one of his films, which was brilliant. Well, My Name is Joe. I do recommend it.
Yeah, great. And then so what other ways do you think that you can still use the Shankly name for good? Now, not necessarily just yourself, the club, the community, whatever. What ways can his legacy be carried on, do you think?
Well, I think basically the main thing is, so he was brought up in a small community where everybody looked after themselves. It's like socialism, but not the political socialism. So it's everybody works together, they work for each other. If I know that if my granddad's friends or next door neighbours didn't have food, they'd share food, or it was a hard time to grow up. But those principles still apply now. There needs to be more of a sense of community, working together like a team, and I think those with those are the core principles of my granddad, and I think they need to be carried on. So that can be carried on outside football as well, and obviously in football, what better way the whole team works together? It's not about individuals. It's not about a name. It's about everyone working together. I think that's very important.
Yeah, and then for you as well, what's your long-term goal? Just whatever you can do to help. What is this? There's something you want to do, or is just to try and ensure everything's done right?
Yeah, that's the main thing. I just want his legacy to be continued in the right way. that's it. Basically, it's very simple.
Yeah,
very simple.
As you walk past Anfield each day, and obviously just hope the statues are there, the gate's still there, and that his legacy is remembered in the right way.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's perfect. I think. And we'll have another quick break, and then I'm going to test you on your knowledge of your granddad. We may cut this bit out, yeah.
Okay.
But we'll see you in a second. Are you looking for a Kazakhstani football team to support? Then I think FC Keme is a team you should support. Do you agree?
Growing up as a child, I always had FC Keme posters on my bedroom wall.
Well, and all the children of the Kazakhstani future will have FC Keme posters on their wall because FC Keme is the team to support, and because of that, Tom has made us a chant that we're all going to follow. So,
up the Keme, up the Keme,
up the Keme. Make sure you follow them on all the social medias, all the posts and all the things you should follow will appear below us and right here. You should be a supporter of FC Keme.
Live, laugh, Keme.
Right, hello, welcome to the final section. I apologise in advance. I hope this is all right. It's the Bill Shankly quiz. There's nothing at stake, don't worry. Nothing could be lost. Just
apart
respect.
from my respect, yeah, and dignity.
You get the first one right. In which Ayrshire mining village was Bill born?
Glenbourne.
See, Tim, we're all right.
There you go.
That's the end of the quiz.
That's a good start. If we stop there, I'm on a win.
Right, the next one is, what was the name of the village team that all four of his brothers made the first 11 appearances for?
The Cherry Pickers.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely flying. Bill spent the majority of his professional career with Preston North End, but who did they sign him from?
Carlisle.
Correct. Absolutely flying. In what position did Bill Shankly play?
Right wing.
Right half.
Right half.
That's close enough, Arsie. You can have that one.
And he was quite a hard player as well, apparently.
Yeah. Tough tackling.
Tough tackling.
As he got older,
Yeah.
I heard it was worse as well, yeah. Bill met his wife whilst he was serving in the RAF during World War II, but what was her name?
Okay, Agnes Fisher Wren, or Wren Fisher, can't remember.
I took Nessie. Yeah, that's fine. You get extra points. What major honour did Bill help Preston secure in 1938?
I have no idea.
The FA Cup.
Oh,
See, not bad. That's
there
the
you
first one.
go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I should have known that.
That's fine, don't worry. Next one is Bill scored his only goal for Scotland in a wartime international against England. It was described as possibly the strangest national goal that was ever scored. But do you know what was strange about it?
No, and this is going to be absolutely fascinating because I've never heard this before.
He scored from 50 yards out. Just long distance. I don't know why that was so amazing, but it's quite a while out. There we go. Next one. This again is tough, but I apologise. Appalled with the facilities while he was manager at Carlisle United, what did Bill do to improve things for the first team on the way to a match? It's hard.
Okay, I'm going to say, I have no idea.
That's fine. So apparently he burned all the kit and then made them buy a new one en route to the game.
Oh.
So I think he was
Okay.
quite happy
did
to
he
make
buy
a scene.
them all-stars as well? Those all-star little trainers that they used to...
Maybe he saved his money on that bit, yeah. After spells with Grimsby Town and Workington, he then managed Huddersfield, where he gave his professional debut to which future Manchester United legend? So,
ooh, I know this one. I can see the face. Can I have a clue?
Initials?
Yeah.
DL.
Dennis Lawler.
Dennis Law. That'll do, but you get a point. Next up, what was the name of the infamous training drill that Shankly made at Wellwood in a bid to improve the fitness of the Liverpool players?
Oh, is that where they hit the balls at the big board?
And I had a little name.
Yeah.
The something box.
Sweat box.
Correct. After several near misses, in which season did Liverpool clinch promotion to the First Division? It's a tough one, years.
So, it wasn't the first year he was there, it was 59, 61?
61, 62, you can have it. Correct. Bill became the first Liverpool manager to win the FA Cup. Liverpool beat who in the 1965 final at Wembley?
Leeds.
Leeds United is correct. This one's tough, I apologise. Against which team did Bill Shankly introduce the now iconic all-red Liverpool strip? That's a tough one. It was in Europe.
Yeah. Wasn't Dynamo?
No. Belgian.
Yeah.
Anderlecht. That was hard. Liverpool were beaten in the 1966 Cup Winners' Cup final by Borussia Dortmund. In which city was the final held?
What year was that?
1966 Cup Winners' Cup final against Dortmund. It was very close to his original home. Which city?
I've no idea.
Glasgow.
Oh, right. Well, close to his original.
Yeah.
I should have known.
That's all right. 1967, he introduced a new scouting department, which was headed by which chief scout?
Twentyman. Jeff
Twentyman, correct. Which psychological innovation did Bill introduce to attempt to intimidate opposition sides visiting Anfield? It's still there today.
So this is Anfield sign. And also, amazingly, he made the home players' game doorway from the changing rooms smaller, so that the players looked bigger as they were coming out from through the door.
That's his mind games already. Yeah. Oh, this is a tough one. I apologise. Bill became the first Liverpool manager to win European silverware by beating Borussia Mönchengladbach in the 1973 UEFA Cup. But what tactical tweak did he employ after the first leg was initially abandoned 27 minutes in due to rain? So the next day he made a change to his team. Do you know what it was?
Did he put Byrne on who'd broken his collarbone? No, that's another one.
No,
that
that's 65. That's not far up. Yeah. So Brian Hall was out and John Toshak came in because he realised they were all small and would be scared of his height. Right. But apparently John Toshak doesn't agree with that story. Anyway, Bill decided to retire in 1974. But what was the last trophy that he won with the club?
So, was it the FA Cup?
FA Cup is correct. 2 more to go. Where were his ashes spread?
That's easy. Behind the cop end of the goal at the cop end.
Yep. And you might get this one. What's the name of his favourite granddaughter?
Well, there you go. I don't need to answer that one.
That wasn't too bad, was it?
No, that was okay.
Right, perfect. Yeah. There's more for everyone to learn as well.
But instead of apologising all the time, why don't you just make them easier?
Sorry. That's a good point for everyone. Yeah, I'll play that. We'll do the quiz tomorrow, and I'll play that to everyone then, and I'm sure they'll also hate me equally.
All right. Okay.
Well, that's the end of our chat. Thank you so much for coming into the garage.
I really enjoyed that. That was very nice.
Yeah, the first person to say that. Thanks very much.
Oh, all right.
Is there anything you want people to do, to share, to follow, to look at?
Yeah, I'd like people to kind of get behind the play at the Royal Court. I think as well. I think that there'll be a bit more publicity. There'll be a video going out with the actor who will be playing my granddad. So, and people getting involved in the community side, the singing side and the chorus side. That would be great.
Yes, do that. Okay, that's great. And then do you want people to follow you on Twitter or Instagram? Or
if they want. I'm not really on it very much, but if they want.
I'll put it on the screen. That's fine. Yeah.
All right.
That's below. Well, thank you so much for coming in. Obviously, it is an honour there's so many people who've been here and spoke about your granddad. I'm sure you're not surprised. I'm sure everyone says it, but for a man of that magnitude and for someone who has met him, known him, related to him, it is a very big honour for you to come here. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching at home as well. We'll see you next time on the Football Historian Podcast.
Locking eyes from across the room, heart is pounding. What have I have to lose? This kind of feeling tends to blur your sight.